Hi and welcome to another live GTD Coaching Cafe. My name is Morten Røvik and I'm here as always with my good friend and colleague Lars Rotskill Hendriksen. Hello Lars.
Hi Morten. Sorry, I'm not on the normal microphone, so we'll have to make do with this one. But good to see you and good to see everyone out there.
Yeah, I think so too. So I can see that we do have some people watching. 11 people from the Productive Norge. Can you see something from Denmark? Just to see if we have some live people.
Yes, that is the number that I'm seeing as well.
Okay, so that might be the total. But welcome everybody. Our idea with these coaching cafes is to give you some coaching and tips and tricks and help you. And the way this works is that you will ask either to be on camera or just ask your question in the comments, and we will do our very best to answer them. So you can write in the local comment section, and it will show up on screen for us. So we will get your comments. And then in addition, we are watching the chat from the comments from Norway, Productive Norge, and from GTD Nordic DK Facebook page. So if you're outside there, we might not see your comments. I'm sorry. But I see Lars-Erik is here, Thomas is here, Sigurd Netland is here, Jannike Hegge is also watching. So thank you for watching and welcome. Anything you would like to add, Lars, to what I just gave us an introduction?
No, that sounds good. I'm looking forward to seeing what kinds of questions come up today, or if people are maybe want to join us on stage. So let's see.
Yeah. And the way that if you want to join us on what we call stage or on camera is that we will send you a link in the comment, and you can just click that link. You will participate from your browser. You will activate your camera and your microphone, and you will talk to us. And we will do our very best to solve your GTD challenges. So if you have something you would like us to look at, something that's maybe a little complex to explain in writing, then this is the right forum. So while we wait for when people start asking questions, maybe we should just start with go back to the last coaching session we did.
Let's do that.
Yeah, and then fish from there. I remember very clearly I did a coaching session recently. This is a client from the United States, from California, and we did some probing on his higher horizons, which means that we looked at what we call purpose, values, principles, and vision. And this is a journey he has not done before. And the way that changed his demeanor, the way that he looked and the way he moved was really, really, really something to see. So if you are wondering if you have enough direction in your life or in your work, visiting those higher horizons might be something really beneficial for you. I guess you've seen the same, Lars, or similar things.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And actually with a coaching client these days as well. So we have our sessions ongoing, and unfortunately there was someone close to him that passed away. And having to stay on top of everything, having to make sure that all the plates are spinning in the air with the company and everything. We had just been working on the areas of focus, and having that, he specifically mentioned that that really helped him out. So in these difficult times, so that's like you say, very helpful to have that there.
Yeah, and to have that, I don't know if you've tried this, the people watching, but I would highly recommend you do that. And the way the format of this is fairly simple. You just take a Word document and then write some headlines. One of the headlines you start on top. You might want to write your name and my focus, horizons of focus would be the topic of the document, and then you make just a headline called Purpose, Values, Principles, and then a new headline called Vision, and then a new headline called goals, and a new headline called areas of responsibility and focus, and then a new headline called project, and a new headline called next actions and calendar. And the way that this will work for you is that you will start maybe on the top. I recommend that when I do coaching with my clients, start on top there and ask yourself, what would you like to be remembered by? What do you want people to remember about you? And what is your legacy in the world? What would you like them to tell about? And even things that's not true yet. Things that you are aspirational of. You want to become this person that you're not yet. So let's say you want to be more patient, and you write something, I am patient, even though you're not. And then we call those words adjectives, the describing words of who you want to become or who you want to be. And then you will go down on vision and then ask yourself, when I live by my purpose, values and principles, how does that look? What physically am I doing to achieve that? Patient, for instance. What do I do when I feel I'm impatient? What do I do? Well, if you feel that, you will have a set of strategies that you will implement, and you will write it down as something you would like to happen, something you would like to be your modus operandi. For instance, if you want to be patient and you understand you're impatient, then maybe you would like to write something like, when I feel I get irritated, my impatience come, I turn away from the situation, I count to 10, and I try to return being patient, reminding me of that other person's need for my patience, for me to achieve what I want to be, this person. And that really works. Even though it's not true yet, it does really works. It will change the way that you handle your commitments, you handle your relationships. I don't know. Have you seen something like this also, Lars? Has it changed people's...
the way that you change and the way that you see these things show up. Yes, certainly.
Do you have any stories around the changes that you have seen with your coaching clients?
Good examples of that. What would that be? Nothing directly related to that comes to mind, to be honest. Okay. So no directly good stories to share, okay, just on that topic.
Okay, because I got a bunch of them, especially when you work with this. One of my favorite ones is that I did a coaching with a director of a big company here in Norway. This director, when we started probing these higher horizons, and this person is highly intelligent, really fast thinker, and this person looked at the higher horizons, starting mapping them out, and found, a lot of cognitive dissonance. Which is to say, the cognitive dissonance is what we call when you understand something is not the way you would like it to be. And this director, he found that the way I'm handling my life is not in accordance to my beliefs and my values. So, and this was an oil company in the oil industry. And this person understood very quickly that I'm not on the right shelf and resigned. And I'm very happy we didn't go through a HR. He came directly to me, but that happened. I'm not saying that you must resign your job when you do this work, but it potentially, not life changing, but is life evolving, hopefully evolving towards the person you want to be, if you're not the person you want to be. So, and I see we have a lot of comments. Kidding, because I don't see one. Do you have any comments on your end?
That's okay. I was just holding back and waiting for you. No, questions from Jens and also from Michael in Denmark. Jens saying, when working on your horizons, when would you use a top-down approach, or when would you use a bottom-up approach?
Yeah, Lars, I think that has your name
Michael
on it.
appends to that and says, or use affirmations on a daily basis.
Mm.
I don't know if that was related to a comment or as we went along, or in following Jens's. So would I go top down or bottom up? Why choose? Why not go both? Why not go both ways? That's what I would do, at least. You know, for me, when I started to play around with the higher horizons, it really took some time to get started. Really hesitated for a long time and just started to draft something. And when I started to draft something showed up, and it was on a different, maybe higher horizon, and then something else showed up, and that might have just been the next action. And there wasn't really any sort of direct flow, but you can certainly, as you hint at, yes, work one way or the other. So why are you doing a project, for example, could inspire you to figure out maybe one of your areas of focus or responsibilities in that area, going all the way up to the top and saying, okay, purpose, principles, values, what does that look like when I live that? So you look from the bottom, sorry, from the top and then down, and then start to elaborate on horizon 4. So I don't think that there are any specific sort of times when I would do one or the other, or at least, if you have one missing when you're starting off, then maybe it can be easier to start when you have maybe your projects, that you have your next actions to start to build the next layer, meaning the areas of focus. But after that, I think from my experience, it can be pretty sort of broad. I like to play around with the purpose because a lot of interesting stuff comes from that. But I think it really is up to the client and what they already have in their life. Perhaps they already have established some company goals 5 years from now. Where do they need to be? So it really depends in my experience. What about you, Morten?
No, I think the same. It depends is a good answer to that, I think, which is not what you want to hear, maybe, but it is the truth. But if you've not mapped out your higher horizons, that is, purpose, values, that lofty stuff, and you feel overwhelmed, you have too much to do, you feel that your work is overwhelming you, then I would suggest that you might want to start at your areas of responsibility and accountability, because that is a way to map out what you are responsible for, and might be a good way to start. And intuitively, you will engage your values and your principles when you look at them and map them out. But just sitting down with a blank piece of paper and a pencil or a pen or a mind-noding app on your PC, Mac, or iPad somewhere, and just start mapping out your areas of responsibility. What are you responsible really for delivering? Where? In which arena? Oh, your kid is in football. Okay, so and you are in that football club. You have some responsibility there. Oh, okay, so you're responsible for the kiosk when they do the matches. That works. That need to go there as well to make sure that you are seeing that on a regular basis and asking yourself, is this maintained in a way I feel comfortable with? And the reason I'm focusing and talking about this now is because you can only feel good about what you're not doing when you know what you're not doing. And to be able to know what you're not doing, you need to know what you're responsible for, so that you know you're delivering on the right stuff. So a lot of people, that comes as a surprise to people, but it is actually like this. If you don't know what you're responsible for, how can you know if you're doing a good job? That's not possible. Yeah. That's not possible. So sometimes you start at the areas of focus, which is just above your projects in that hierarchy. So
yeah. And then on the other hand, also to add that, when I started off with GTD, like a lot of people, projects and next actions was really where all my time went. So it could be that if you're listening and thinking, oh, I don't have those, what am I doing? It can be part of the steps in the journey with GTD, and it may be that you're getting the right value from projects and next actions right now, and it may be now or in a year or 5 years that it starts to make sense to then build the higher horizon as well.
We have a comment from Randi, Elisabeth Tognestad, she says that maybe start with the bottom up to clear your mind a little first, and then the book starts there. That makes sense for her. Yes, it also makes sense for me, So, but it all depends on what you want to do. So,
but I
thank
have
you for
come
that
across
comment.
clients that have done a lot of work already with purpose. For example, one person that I'm working with right now had a very clear statement for his own purpose on why he was here on this planet. So that was already built for us just to put right in there. I have a comment from the Danish live stream as well. Thijs is asking, so he's saying his daily to-do list, how do you get an overview of your next actions? I would like to create an overview where I have my next actions associated with projects or areas of responsibility, so it's not just one long list. Do you have any tricks on how to visualize this?
That has your name on it, Lars.
Well, it depends on the software, of course. So that's the first thing is I like to play around with this, and knowing you, Thijs, I think you will probably appreciate to play around with this too. But I do want to mention for people listening that it's over organizing can really be a burden on your system. That you spend too much time on organizing things, you spend too much time searching on where things are, as opposed to actually helping yourself. So it's a balance, the art of stress-free productivity. It's an art to have the right lists and the right perspectives in your system. And that changes over time. So that being said, the way that I do it and the way that I know that other people do it in other programs is to group your projects by areas of focus, and then attach the next actions to those projects. And then there are different tricks in different software tools to visualize then how can you see next actions related to specific, important projects for you maybe, or related to specific areas of focus that let's say you were in a situation where on a daily basis, when you choose to do something, you do it based on one of your areas of responsibility or areas of focus. Then that kind of perspective can perhaps make sense for you in helping you get to the right next action the quickest. For myself, I have played around with this as well, both from a project perspective, some bigger projects that I wanted to get moving on, and also from an area of focus perspective, playing around with, let's say I wanted to put some extra effort into working on the PR side of the business, making sure that we are out there, we are being seen. So I actually have a filter set up where it's just a search query really that takes all next actions within projects that are found below the PR area of responsibility in my system. So that's worked for me. I've played around with that. It has been helpful at times. I don't use it that much, but perhaps the use case would be different for you. I hope that made sense. And Morten, I don't know if you do it differently or have different perspectives.
Well, I'm migrating now from a system in my OmniFocus app, where I have listed my areas of focus and responsibility as folders, and then I put my projects inside those folders. And that worked very well for a while, but then I had a look at it with my big boys glasses on, and went, seriously, Morten, is this the best system you can have? And I've found that I am now migrating out of that, because that I am involved with several different companies, and I have a rich family life, and both work and personal life has a lot of areas of focus and accountability. And when I put them in my OmniFocus list, that kind of confuses me. Not confuses me, but it takes some extra cycles to have a look at that every time I look at my system. And especially when I do my weekly review, it's good to see my areas of focus, but I've decided I will take them out. I will make a flatter structure, and I will put my areas of focus in either a mind map, I'm not sure yet, or just a flat list, or two flat lists, one personal and one work related. So GTD is not static. You need to play around a little and see what works for you. Play. It's not, as David Allen says, it's not running with scissors. It is. It's fairly safe to play around as long as you listen.
It's fairly safe.
Yeah, it's fairly safe, but it's the worst thing you can get is a little extra overwhelm. If the extra overwhelm is what tips you to another state that you don't want to be, that's why I've said it's fairly, not dangerous. I'm just saying that it's not running with scissors. And play around and ask yourself and look at one of the items I would like to put on people's mind just now is that be mindful of how your brain works and how you feel about the different things you do with your system. The more I wouldn't call it feely you get with your system. I'm not going to go overboard here, but the more you focus on how your system and your GTD practice makes you feel, the easier it is for you to navigate. If you feel that no, my system is overwhelming me, it's too much, I can't, it takes too long to go through, maybe you should simplify your system. Go back, take a step back, simplify it, and then see what happens. If that makes you feel better, you're on the right track. If you don't like the software you have, ask yourself why. What about this software don't I like? And then if you decide, well, it's maybe not the software, but my practice of the software, and then change your practice, relationship to it. Or if you really, really don't like your software, then find something new and play around with. And I know you tried different solutions, Lars, for your GTD system during the part of your GTD journey where I've known you. So could you give us an overview of what you changed? Where did you start?
I started with Remember the Milk, rememberthemilk.com. It's still out there somewhere. I started with this back in 2008, and last time I checked, it's been a while since I checked, but it was still out there, and it works just fine. Not too long ago, met a guy who actually still he used that and found it to be just fine. And over time, I have worked with Wunderlist. I've worked with OneNote, Evernote to some extent, Outlook, and partially Microsoft To Do, partially Wunderlist, and today on Todoist for some years now. So happy with that. And just a note on your comment on playing around with things. I took note when listening to one of the more recent episodes of the new podcast from with Meg Edwards from the Confessions of a GTD Coach, I think it's called. If you haven't listened to it out there, go and find it. A lot of fun things, and Meg is always so fun to listen to her stories on what she's come across. And she really underlined that these were best practices. And for me, instead of calling them rules, calling them best practices just makes it a bit more bendable, I think. Makes it easier for me to play around with to actually use that term. So I noted that down.
Yeah. And it is I'm just, and again, this you can repeat this, of course, a lot. And then one of the things that I'm is one of my repetitions in when I talk to people is this is not religion. It is a framework for thinking about your commitments. It is not, and because people can get religious about this and say, no, you must do your weekly review exactly like this, or you will go somewhere you do not like. No. Experiment, try, move things around, and as long as you don't break the fundamental rules of getting things done, it's more principles than rules, best practices of getting things done. If you don't break that, get it out of your head, somewhere you trust to see it later, then sooner than later, normally every 24 to 48 hours, you look at that and you clarify what it means to you. what you need to do with it, and get specific on what's your desired outcome, what's your next actions, and park that result immediately in your system that you can trust. So you will find it, and then look at that system and your calendar minimum once a week to get an overview, so that you feel comfortable and in control again. And then engage, do the things you've decided to do, follow your calendar, plan your days as good as you can in advance, and then use your lists when you have some time in between to pick from. That's GTD. And as long as you don't break that, with bugging your system down or doing something, then it's not running with scissors. It's fairly safe. But yeah. So
yeah. And
yes.
I think Thijs just followed up and just said, thanks. I think I need to move more tasks to Sunday, maybe.
Yep.
And that is often the case. At least as recently as today, I found myself reviewing a list and looking at it. It's like, no, moving that to Sunday, maybe 3 next actions that I had talked with. That would be fun to do. And I had my little zombie tag because it was just something easy to do when I wasn't really on the top of my game. But no, just park it. There's plenty of tasks already on those next actions list, and no need to fill them up with things that you're not actually going to do right now. So could be an answer as well.
Yeah, and just to build on that, remember you must revoke your, and pardon my French, bullshit filter, and remember that everything that you put on your plate now is going to have a piece of your attention in the weeks to come, and make sure that you are not overwhelming yourself, because you can over and underwhelm yourself very easily, and it's up to you to find that balance. And the only thing that you can do is to try and find your productive experience where you feel that you are in control, you're relaxed, you are not stressing, you are inspired, it's fun to do this, and you're present in the moment, you get stuff done, and you want to be there the most part, and just focus on that. I have another question from Randi, and she asked, and I see when I put it in the broadcast, it should be a different color set. If I see if I can change the color set here to the background being more white, like something like this, it might be easier. So Randi asks, how many tasks do you have on your next action lists? How many projects under active projects? Well, if you ask what I have, and that's not going to be correct for you, so let me try and answer you in a more generic fashion, because how many tasks do you want to have on your next action list and feel good about them? Because next actions are things you're not done yet, and how do you feel good about them? If you don't, how many can it be before you get uncomfortable? And and that ties into how many projects under active projects, and that also depends. My rule of thumb, I would say that have a hard look at your projects and then focus on what projects can I move forward with luck and feel comfortable about the next 2 to 3 weeks, and put that on active projects. Because if you have too many projects, you are going to slow yourself down. You are not going to move as fast as you might want to move on the project, and you might not get that little pat on the back that you need every now and then for finishing a project. So how many projects do you need to have on your active project for feel good about them and make meaningful progress? And the rest should be either on projects on hold or someday maybe. And it is something really bizarrely magical that happens when when you renegotiate a commitment with yourself, move something to someday maybe and feel good about it. It leaves your brain. It's like it goes boom. It's gone. It's not lost. and you're not worrying about losing it, but it's not in your brain anymore. And I really love that feeling that you can renegotiate your commitments like that. So thank you, Rondi. I don't know if that's helped at all, but I hope it did. So any comments to that, Lars?
No, I think you covered it exactly the way that we could. And again, that comes back to feeling good about the lists. Do the lists attract or repel you, and how to work them. And the magic number for me seems to be to restrict myself in not having too many, and at the same time still recognizing that there are some ongoing projects in my life, and not capturing does not meaning not defining them does not mean that they are not there. It just means that I'm partially blocking my eyes, right? So the washing machine started some water came out yesterday. We have a project now, and it's not going to not be a project because I don't put that on my list. It is a project. So
exactly.
Things like that is it. As you progress in your GTD journey and play around with this, you get more of a hang of it.
And Rondi makes a. I just want to. She adds another comment is that agreed, and my personal limit is 10, and I will happily stick to that now. Yeah, great. If you're comfortable with the number, stick with it. Thank you. Yes, Lars, you were going to say something.
The one that I had. Yes. The one that I had was from the Danish group as well. One from Kent. It says, I have not quite come to use checklists yet. The checklists I have made have been very long and therefore overwhelming and time-consuming to complete. Do you have any good ideas for using checklists without getting stressed? What would you respond more?
Well, checklist without stress. I don't understand what would be the stress with lists. I think that's yours, Lars. Run with that.
Well, it depends. I guess first of all, to clarify for people listening, I mean, you could argue that GTD is all checklist. So I'm guessing Kenneth in this specific case would refer to, let's say a standard operating procedure for something that you have to do every end of the month. You have to walk through some systems and click some things, or this could be a packing list for your next trip to go somewhere. And these can be, rather long. Some of my lists are as well, some of my checklists. And I guess when it comes to the things such as your average checklist, well, if it's not on that list, it's going to live in your head or somewhere else, right? So whether the list is long is really, I guess, that another way around it. So it depends. Do you then need to lower the amount of other work to make sure that you have time to walk through that whole checklist? So it sounds like there could be different perspectives on how to approach that.
Yeah, the only time I've heard about people getting stressed about their checklist is if they don't have time to use them or to do that work that the checklist demands, like quarterly report writing, and it's like, oh, I don't have time for this. I have a checklist for doing that, but I don't have time because I have a lot of other times, a lot of stuff I need to get done. And it gets on the procrastination / back burner part of your brain, and that's of course not a good place to have it. But a checklist in itself is meant to relieve you, not to stress you. So, any other comments for that, Lars? Or I don't see the comments from Denmark here. So, whatever did he make a back comment that he feels he's comfortable with this, or do we have a follow-up?
Not yet. No, nothing yet. But I'll keep an eye out on that. I can update you that Dan suggested to have a look at the book, The Checklist Manifesto. Says it's way better than the title suggests, and easy to read, and I can only echo that it's a great book. So highly recommend that as well. Kez is thanks now at the end as well.
Hmm.
And one follow-up comment from Michael regarding the active projects. So he says, I have about 70 active projects, but they only show up when something needs to happen. So no overwhelm because of dynamic lists based on deferred dates.
Okay. No, and the only comment I have to that is that be careful with deferred dates, because it may show up on your radar when you don't have time to look at them. So that's kind of the little cousin of the big bad boy called due dates, because we don't use due dates unless it's really burning something. So deferred dates is a little dirty cousin of due dates. Just be careful.
Yeah, Michael's GTD middle name is GTD nickname is Michael Defer Dates Dreves. So
Michael Deferred Dreves. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we are still here. If you have a comments, you want to come on camera, you can still do that. We will be doing this for another 23 minutes or so before we close. So if you want to come on camera with us and help us, we will help and look at your system. Please feel free to do so. Send us a comment, and we will send the link in the comment section so that you can get in. So anything you would like to add, Lars?
No, I'm just scrolling through the comments to make sure that we have captured everything and noted that all of them have been responded to. So let me just run by Sweden and Finland, and no, I don't see any additional comments. Mm-hmm. The only comment I see in Finland is a greeting from Germany, from Oliver. so hi, Oliver, in Germany via Finland.
Yeah, he's the what did we decide to call him? Is he's visiting from the southern part of the Nordic region?
Yeah. No, that's the other. So this is Oliver Gassner.
Oliver. No, I'm sorry, that's not Sebastian. Because okay, yes. You are correct.
Sebastian, exactly. Yeah, from Cologne. Yeah.
Good. Should we make up another, what you call make up another something we need to talk about, since we are not getting any feedback?
No, we have one more from Denmark. The Danish group are on fire tonight.
They do not disappoint us. Thank you, Denmark. Your rule.
Next one from Thijs. Do you ever get tired of all the routines? I'm guessing the 5 steps, maybe? Would that be all the routines?
Well, the routines are I would describe getting things done as a set of best practices you can learn about, start using, practice them as becoming habits that becomes routines. And so my definition on a routine is that when it something becomes a routine after becoming a habit, it disappears into the background. So I'm not thinking GTD when I do GTD, it just happens. So if somebody talks to me and I understand this is a commitment coming my way, I will just write it down. I don't have to think about that. So for me, GTD is not routines anymore. It's how I operate. It's my life operating system, if you like, or systematic approach, or life OS for handling commitments. So what do you think, Lars?
Yeah, actually, I'm always reminded. I don't know if we have Carsten with us in the group as well. Carsten is the upcoming second trainer, GTD trainer here in Denmark, and I'm always reminded when you asked him when we had a trainer interview, and you said, "So how much money? If I gave you 1 million kroner, would you then stop using GTD?" And he just, I think his eyes might have frost a bit, but at least I remember him saying, I don't know how to do that. This is how I think. This is just so integrated and a natural way to manage things that there's just no way to not do that. So just like you, yes, I don't really think about it. But that being said, there will be times when I fail at them, forget to do them. Not, I'll remember that. I don't need to write that down, or it's not always fun anyway. The weekly review, need to
Yeah.
man up sometimes and get that done. So,
Yeah.
so from that perspective, you can get tired, I think,
Yeah.
if that's what I think.
Yeah. And I'm not tired of the routines, but sometimes the work I need to get done to get the overview, like in the weekly review, as you mentioned, that can sometimes be hard. And as we've been talking about before, we as trainers and all our coaching clients, we ask them to take something called Kairos cognition, where, by the way, Meg Edwards is involved in that. So if you look at that, what was the name of their podcast again? The something confessions.
Something and Confessions of a GTD Coach.
Okay. So and I commented to Frank that they should change the name of that podcast because we can't remember what it is. So Confessions of a GTD Coach should make you find that. But that Kairos cognition test put you on a scale on different, what we call parameters that you are measured by, and one of the two outliers here is for the first parameter is are your brain preferring to be either sequential or the associative thinker? So or are you balanced? Are you in the middle? And as being a highly associative person, it's really hard for me to be sequential. So I really have to put my, man myself up to do my weekly review, and I have to maintain focus because my brain drifts so fast somewhere it should not go. Like, and now I remember that the gadget I looked at before, and now that seems very interesting to look at in the middle of my weekly review, and I have to look at that now because that really calls on me, and I have to talk to myself in the morning. What are you doing now? It's okay, you can look a little, but now you have to go back. Okay, you have to rein your wild creative procrastination horses and come back to this weekly review. And for those of you who are struggling a little bit about weekly review, man, I know where you are at, because I'm there too. Because doing the weekly review, doing the clarify and organize and the weekly review are sequential thinking, which is for a lot of people fairly hard to do. So, and but I have people who are super sequential that it goes, they're finished. And I also have people who use all the tricks in the book. Like I have an old coaching client of mine. He's highly high observer and high listener. So and high associative, and then to harness that, he listens to music and he stands up when he does his weekly review, because that engages his intellect in a different manner, and he clears out anything that can give him a distraction. There's no painting on the wall, there's no decoration, it's just blank walls to kind of block out all distractions that will pull him away from what he's doing when he's doing his weekly review. So have you come across something like that, Lars? Where you had to, tailor.
Yeah, and I still play around with that, both figuring out the right ways to do it, and also slowly becoming more flexible in how to do it. So I'm leaning towards associative to stay in the Kairos terminology, but more of a balanced processor, meaning my brain can go both ways, and that sounds initially like a superhero ability, but then you realize that means every time you were to, let's say some people are left-handed, some people are right-handed, I have to think every time I want to pick up something, whether I want to use one hand or the other. So in some cases, it's probably easier to have one preference over the other. So I'm still playing around with figuring out the best way to do this, because one of the key areas where I'm focusing on improving these days is to I just, start doing and then just doing and don't stop and forget to take breaks, because when my brain is in doing mode, when it's in sequential mode, it just, I just get so much stuff done, but that is also very tiring suddenly. So I'm trying to, playing around with the Pomodoro technique and other things to help me remember to switch a bit because that works better for my brain. But coming back to the weekly review, actually, there was another question about this, and I heard about this yesterday because we also had a GTD talk last night about a possible upcoming project here in Denmark, summer related maybe. And Michael says, we, in parentheses, some of us, have a discussion about the length of the weekly review. Some want it to be done in 1 hour. Others think that this is not an important parameter. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean,
Curious to hear what you think.
but is he now mentioning, just for me to understand, it's not an important parameter that it takes an hour, or that you're doing it?
Yeah. No, that you're doing it, I don't think there is any question. It's just,
Okay.
should it fit within the hour? Or,
No. It takes as long. If I am allowing myself to be, too creative during, not at the end of the weekly review, my weekly review can easily take 5 hours. That is not a problem for me. and I will feel very comfortable after, and I will have a lot of creative thinking done. But if I want to, I can do one in 30 minutes or less if I need to. But then I'm really focusing. I'm just doing a calendar scan and my next actions scan to make sure that I'm not forgetting something. And with those two, what I call panic reviews, are really helpful, and it alleviates a lot of the stress of not having that overview. But it takes as long as it needs to take to get through your project. And remember, the more active projects you have, the more you have to review. And the more the more someday maybes you have, the more project on hold you allow into your system, the longer time it will take you to review it. Because then you have to reflect, am I going to do that now? Is that really important anymore? Should I keep that there? So I'm always coming back to my trusted no button, which helps me to make sure that I am not committing to something I'm not committing to. And with my horizons of focus, helps me to make that decision. Should I do something about it? And I have to say, for the last time, no, to a lot of things, to be able to say yes to the right things. So, and so if you don't have a bogged down system, it can take less than an hour. Lars, what is your take on this?
Yeah, agree. Completely agree. So but that's why I was curious to hear your thoughts on it, because I don't know where that came from. So I was wondering about that.
But could we challenge you in the comment field? So I'm sure that most of the people who are seeing this now are GTDers. There's 13, 14 people watching at the moment, if I understand correctly. So when you do your weekly review, how long time does that take? Put that in the comment section and we will see it. And please make sure you are in either Denmark, the Denmark page or the Norwegian page. If you're in Finland, Iceland, or Sweden, we will not see your comments. So
I'm on those other ones as well. I am monitoring everything. Oliver, I see, switched from Finland to Sweden now. So as we're getting the answers, I can just update that. Sometimes I use the question, what if your boss forbid you to use GTD? And you should say, I'd quit. So I'm thinking we were talking about how to integrate your thinking regarding GTD practice.
Well, if you...
All right, so I have some numbers.
I also have some numbers here. Do you want to go with yours first?
I can do that. So I have Kenneth saying 1.5 hours, Michael saying 1 to 4 hours, Jens saying around an hour, Stefan about 2 hours, Dan, it depends, 45 minutes to 4 hours. So that's those are the numbers from the Danish jury so far.
Yeah, and what I see in the Norwegian section is I was thinking a lot more will come, but Randi, don't let me down. Thank you, Randi. She says 45 to 60 minutes. So, and imagine that you use 45 to 60 minutes on an average. Yes, let's say an hour on average, aroundish there, to get your world under control, so that you know you with good conscience can say I'm on the right track. How much would you invest in time for get that feeling? And the idea is as much as you need to get that feeling, because that overview and control and that feeling of nothing is slipping, and that you can't pay for that with money. You can only pay for it in focus and time. So you focus on this, getting that feeling. You spend enough time to get that feeling, and after that you can relax. You can be with your friends and family and do what you want to do without your commitments moving into your brain. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and for me it varies a lot as well. Sometimes you have more active projects than others. Sometimes there's, in my world, more sales projects that are active, and then sometimes less. Sometimes you go into a weekly review and there's a lot of stuff in the inbox, and sometimes you go into a weekly review and it's nice and easy to get clear, and you can maybe have more fun on the get current parts and get creative.
Okay, we are running into the last 10 minutes of our little broadcast here. Nobody has manned themselves up to be on camera, or woman themselves up. So any last questions, you can ask them in the comment or ask to go online with us. And I am not sure if we have, but I have an idea, and I don't know. Can we see who's watching, Lars, somehow?
Not that I know of on the Facebook side. You have a different view maybe from the eCam side, where maybe you can
No,
see something.
we
And
have
just
the
on the,
same
I
view.
think,
Yeah.
okay. And just on the note from I think this live coaching cafe may have overlap with the Norwegian meetup as well, if I saw correctly.
No, it's tomorrow.
Or maybe that ended already.
That is tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay, then I know that I can go and still sign up. I am noting that down.
No, I think that we have people from, I think, Portugal with us today. Even so, somebody who's just curious of how we're doing it. It's so if you're there, Shannon, give us a like, and I will be able to see you. So and people are curious about what we are doing with the coaching cafe and finding it interesting that we do this. But it is a way to serve you, our trusted GTDers, or if you're curious about GTD, it's a way that we can get in touch with you to help you and help you become better GTDers. And because we do this because we think the getting things done methodology are helping people around the world living the life that they want. And I know it's really helped me to start living the life I want, to become more me and become, less stressed, more present. And why shouldn't I give that to someone else? And that's why we're doing this free of charge, because we think this is valuable for you. So I hope that you enjoy that, and that we can continue doing this as long as somebody's listening. We will, I think, Lars. Will we?
We will, and as long as we keep getting good comments, we'll keep talking. We'll end at 9. But there was a good thought from Jens on whether there might be a correlation between cognitive preferences and the length of a weekly review. And I don't know if that's the case. Off the top of my head, it seems like there are different areas that will be quicker depending on your cognitive preference, but then you could just be spending more time in the other parts of the review. So I don't know if that's the case. What's your thought on this one?
No, I think it might be well. If you try to look at this as logically as you can, with your frontal cortex attached and working. I think it might be the two main factors for this could be the number of things you have in your system. That's kind of like a no-brainer, because the more you have to look at, the more time that will take. So a lean and mean system will take shorter time to review. And the second part is how does your brain functions? So, and are you optimizing your weekly review to cater for that? So if you are high observer, maybe you want to strip everything so that you're not distracted. Close down tabs that's on your browser that will distract you. Kind of go minimalistic around yourself to help yourself. If you're a high listener, block out noise that might annoy you, or voices that may distract you, because you're, as a high listener, you will not be able to turn it off. It will move into your brain. If you're a high mover, stand when you do this. That will help you. Get up on your feet and do your weekly review on your feet, because you will be smarter when you stand up. If you're a high talker, talk yourself through this. Talk to yourself. It's allowed. I do that sometimes. Talk to yourself and ask yourself, what is this? What does it mean to me? Is it actionable? Yes or no? Yes, it is. What's the next action? What's the next physical, visible action you can do? And then start doing that, and then repeat it to yourself until it sticks to you, and it helps you move forward faster. So I think the combination of lean and mean systems and knowing how your brain processes information can help you get the time you need to spend down. So I think maybe if you will start, Lars, this is just an idea I have. I want to put, if I can, in the comments section, or I can just put it on screen maybe. How do I do that? That's interesting. Let me see if I can put something on screen for this. I will make a comment in the Norwegian sections for the Kairos cognition test, and maybe you can dry talk a little, John.
Well, yeah, no, so I can add, we are approaching the end of our time here. And I noted on the Swedish page that Oliver had another question, which I think we'll save for next time, because then we will have a question to start us off before the live stream catches up with Facebook and we get your questions in. So Oliver's question was that I feel I have an awesome amount of routine tasks, and what would be your approach on this? How would we handle that? So I suggest that we will pick that up first Tuesday of June. Mm-hmm. Did I talk long enough?
That you did, because on screen now you will see kairoscognition.com. Go there and have a look. That is the test. It's free in the basic version. You may want to indulge yourself paying $10 for getting the extended version, but you will get some more information about yourself. And I think I can guarantee you that you will learn something about yourself, or you will have what I have experienced with most of the people I've run this through after the fact, that they say, that's why this and this. That's why my wife tell me why you never hear me, why you don't listen to me. And that is not because maybe you're a man, but because maybe you're a low listener. Things don't enter into your brain if it's not very important, or your little alarm bell goes off in your head saying that, you should listen to this. This might be dangerous if you don't listen now. So, and etc. So, okay, we are again being mindful of our time. We are closing in on the full hour in a few seconds, and I would like to thank everyone who's been here today. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for being in our community. Thank you for participating, and I hope that we've given you a little bit of value along your way to become better GTDers. So, Lars, any final thoughts or comments or goodbyes you would like to do before we say bye-bye?
Just to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for, just like you said, for your participation in the community, for sharing, for coming up with good questions, sharing your input, helping everyone become better GTDers. This is fun, and thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And until next time, as we say in the podcast, stay safe and stay productive. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.